subset of county government at that time, and that's how we'll report. And the reason why we want the trust authority is because I've had other county commissioners, as you guys know, talk about it, and that's what they're all going towards, a model like that. And that way you can include the city, the two cities in the agreement, and move forward with, maybe 3 from the county and 2 from the other cities, and they appoint that, and you've got an authority but every step they go along the way, you guys have to approve, but you're not doing the work, and it separates you from have to make some of those choices where you say yay or nay in the end. Not unlike your committee, excise board. It's a very similar process.
And I'm not here.
Yeah, I know you're not here as the excise board, but it'd be very similar to that, where they make recommendations, they do the footwork, and then they recommend to you, and the council committee approves it. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put a process in place to help you get to where you want to go.
So where's the money come from for doing this?
That's right now we don't have it.
We're looking at just grants or?
Well,
we're going out?
I think we're going to have to figure out a way, and I probably could help you with some grant money to get the process started to hire an architect. That's the goal.
Yeah.
But after you choose that, you're going to have to take this to the vote of the people. We'll have to structure some way to pay for the jail, including possibly raises in property tax or sales tax or whatever, but that will be after we figure out what those costs are. And this board, that's why you've got several different experts from the community here to help sell the idea and put the idea together, so it's just not from you commissioners. It's a lot of, and this is why it works better. It's like having a city manager. You can always blame everything the city manager. You can always blame things on this committee, and the end of it doesn't go the way you want it to. But it gives you guys a little protection, but yet you get final authority on it. And it's typically how all the trust authorities work. Ask me a question.
I'm not going to very many people don't like what I have to say, so take it with a grain of salt. But, I looked at our agenda today before I came here, and I got reminded about the scope of what we were originally involved in, and it's way too broad for us to be doing the sheriff's budget. It's still on the budget. I mean, we got a brand new sheriff who's basically been appointed semi-volunteer, whatever, probably working on the budget for the next year right now. I mean, that's probably ongoing. And, it's up to the sheriff to set their budget, decide what kind of coverage that we're going to have for the county, and then the county commissioners, all that budget has to go before them, and they approve it. And then the excise board kind of reaffirms the thing at the very end. But, the thing about it is, do the commissioners feel like we need a jail or not need a jail? And our scope should be in that area. If we can't afford to pay Carlsville for prisoners, we're still going to have prisoners and that kind of thing. Eventually, if you want this committee to perform on a new jail or an old jail, then you kind of have to make up your minds which way you'd like to see this deal go. And then, without bonds, without sales tax, without these things that have to be approved by the people, this won't work. And that's it in a nutshell. And we can talk about how many cars are up there, how many gallons of gas we're using, or what we have, but, coverage needed for the security of what we can afford for the county has to be left up to the budget preparation by the sheriff and approval by the county commissioner. And we're not going to get anywhere here doing that. I mean, this is going to take forever. So, the jail is at the forefront of the community's mind right now because of the issues that we've had very recently. And, for my part, it comes to continues to be up in the air as to whether anything needs to be done or going to be done, or have we even started the process. And I appreciate you guys coming today. We've got a lot of information over a few meetings, and it's all been beneficial to me if we are going to move forward in some fashion. But if you're going to put it on the committee, then stand up and tell us what you want us to do.
Dean, who has to put that before the commissioners?
The commissioners.
They have to do it, I mean, not one of us?
So, I guess,
Okay.
my question is, if we put this to a bond, does anybody?
You're a long ways from putting
Does
it
anybody
on.
here think that'll pass?
Like you said, we're a long way from bond, we're
Yes,
just
I
trying to
understand, but you're willing to spend money to figure out what it costs first. Do you think that people will actually vote to raise their
Here's the
taxes?
deal. You have to have all your information to
Yes.
take to them
Yes.
and be very transparent to them, or no, it's not gonna pass.
Do
Exactly.
you think if we do that, that they would actually pass it? mean,
I don't think
honestly,
it's right or fair to ask people to predict the future.
Yeah, you know, we don't know.
We just have to collect the information and do our due diligence. That's all that public servants are here to do. We're not here to predict the future.
So do we have an amount that it would cost?
We don't know.
No, not on the jail. Do we have an amount that it would cost for these guys to tell us what the jail costs?
But here's this is what I'm saying, you're getting a little bit of education. The group is getting education when you have these architects come and tell you about what their estimates are, what historic costs have been and that type of thing. But the reality is the way this whole deal is structured now, you have to go through a process to choose an architect, like you bid out something on price. But instead of bidding it on price, you're bidding it out on experience and expertise. And so you put that out there and you ask these guys to put, and they probably already have one to get ready to hand us, but it tells you what their experiences are, what their things are, and you choose them based on their qualifications, not on price.
It's like our engineering company.
And yeah, and you rank them then, and then you go to the first one on the ranking, and then you start negotiating with them, how much will it cost for them to get you a cost estimate to bring a reasonable design in place and give you a number that you can work with. Because I can't start chasing money until I know it's a $2 million deal, $3 million deal, $5 million deal, I don't know.
Well, I guess my question is, what does that cost to get the ball?
We will, but,
The
okay.
RFQ doesn't cost anything, does it?
Right, no.
Okay.
The only cost come is that,
Question.
here's what this is the cost that I think you're gonna have to incur before you decide. And I think you're gonna have to pay for a process to have it published. So, published in 3 or 4 locations and try to get, the things back just like you do bid. So you're gonna have those publication costs. And then we're gonna sit down and you're gonna prioritize the group. This group hopefully will I've got a system in place that we use in other cities and towns. Go through that and Dale will make a recommendation or a ranked order to you guys, and then they'll say, okay, this is who we think would be best, this would be second best and third. Now, the requirement of this is you can't talk to group number 2 or group number 3 until you negotiate number 1 and can't get an impasse. And as soon as if you don't feel like number 1, your top priority, you can afford that, you don't want to move forward with that, you have to throw them out, they're ineligible now. And then you go down to group number 2. So the whole intent is to try to pick the group that you want through their qualifications to help you come up with a design. Now, I'm not going to speak for these guys, but the preliminary work, they'll probably do $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. Now, we're not talking about design work, we're just talking about, and I will try to help, as I often do, raise that money for you guys. And so that's the intent, is I will try to figure out a way to pay for it, both with my governmental means and some non-governmental means using the foundation and some other things. But I wouldn't worry about that piece till I know what that piece is.
Now, and to remember the order of the conversation that we've gone in, before we even wanted to put out for new bids on a new facility, we needed to verify that this
That's
facility
correct.
So part of the reason we wanted this authority from the commissioners is because we haven't been sure that we have the authority to call somebody in to look at that facility and say whether or not we can work with it or not.
Exactly.
So if we're gonna do the due diligence needed to say, yes, this facility can be repaired, or no, it cannot, and we need a new facility, we as a commission at least need that authority from the commissioners to summon someone who can look at the current facility. But as it is right now, we're not clear that we have any authority at all.
And I would kind of second Mr. Rickman's comments that we need a concise set of directions as to what you want. And so, because we're just all over the place with what we have right now. And to be honest with you, you can't feel the support. Sorry.
And if it turns out the commissioners don't want us doing this work, go ahead and tell us. I mean, I'll be mad. I mean, I've been to like 10 of these meetings, and if it came to nothing, I'd be mad, but I'd be much madder if I did 20 meetings and it came to nothing. So if we could get y'all to make a statement this next week that would give us some direction, I would really appreciate it personally.
I think we all would. Yes, I think we all would. We're here to help if we can.
Yeah.
But if you're not in a position or you feel like we need to go on,
And the first step with the RFQ, you're hiring the architect, engineering firm to look at that, look at the feasibility, viability of that, what the cost might be to renovate it if it's possible, or the idea of a new facility based on the number of beds that you guys come. You need some professional expertise, because like we talked about, we don't know how many beds you guys need anymore. With the laws changing, marijuana and all that going, becoming illegal, are we gonna need less beds than we have in the past? With the demography that it is, are we gonna need less beds than we are in the past? And that's just, you gotta have pros to do that, I can't do that for you.
So we did invite these folks to come today.
We had the last two
We can
meetings,
just see what they could be brought us, because I know that I'm on a time constraint, and I'm sure they are too.
our last two meetings have been canceled because of weather, and the third one was left early, so we didn't get this finished when we started this last time.
Well, and I want to apologize, I went over across the street, our sheriff and undersheriff, we had a bad accident out west of town, so they were out of pocket.
I did not know that. I'm going to send apology text messages.
Well, my apologies to you gentlemen, but I know you came a long way, but
Jeffrey, I did have a conversation with the sheriff after the meeting 2 weeks ago, like I told you.
Appreciate
And
that.
she's very supportive of our group
Good.
and wants to help in any way she can. Doesn't know if she has enough of the numbers together yet that you
I've
want,
I've gotten together with her and the undersheriff a couple times since then,
good,
and they have a lot.
good.
And I think I've seen almost everything you've
Right.
seen, maybe not, but I
And you
appreciate
and I kind of,
you went over there and you went over there after the last
Yeah.
time, and I think it made a good thing happen, so thank you.
and you and I kind of disagreed on that part of it, because I still think the coverage-based deal for the county's got to be the sheriff's office and county commissioner's office. You know, and they need to determine that, and if we need that number after that, I think that they should provide it. That's about it.
good? Yes? You okay? I'm gonna review just a minute, just for, let you know that we have brought up, we need to look, like they said, at the current jail versus a new one. But again, we go back to, we need y'all's 30, yes or no. All right, the next thing we have on it is the budget numbers from the sheriff's department. Do we have that, or do we need to go on?
We've got a lot of it. It's a complicated thing. The thing I've been trying to get down to the bottom of is how much of their expenses are personnel, and then how much of it is other, and then how much other is other. Based on what I sent you guys, I sent you out like a write-up last week with just like the breakdown as I understand it. Only about half of their budget, as I understand it, is going to personnel currently. If we wanted to, but I mean, that's with them being understaffed. Especially, I don't know if y'all know this, they only have 2 deputies on the road, plus the undersheriff and the sheriff and some, not volunteers, what are they called?
Reserves.
So, I mean, there's someone out on the road at all times, but even so, for a county of our size, my understanding is that everybody is pretty sure we need 5 deputies getting paid. I also didn't know that our deputies are not paid out of the general budget, but out of additional funds that they raise. That's what they told me yesterday in their office. So they said in the budget proposal that they made that the jailers and the dispatchers are paid out of the general budget, but that the deputies are not covered out of that. That's out of giving out legal papers and
Personal service.
commissary, yeah, that stuff, that money that they raise, which is an additional $300,000.
But they're still recovering for the mass resignation, right? Or have they stepped back up from that?
They're still recovering.
They're still recovering?
we're not pleased with that.
Right.
Well, when I was there yesterday, I was unclear if they're even trying to hire any more deputies at this point.
Still, they figure out what they're doing.
I'm not sure they know where they're at 100% on what the last administration did now, that they're fixing to start their new process.
The budget changes everything.
Right, so we'll see what happens there. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't think we can go, we don't even have to go into that yet. we need to move forward, and the commissioners is the only one that can move us forward. But, any more comments about that?
I was gonna build up to saying, I do think that we could talk about increasing salaries if we get a clearer idea about the budget, and if they do a better job at leaning on the public for donations. So like yesterday I was there and they needed, they were talking about purchasing a new radar, that would be $1,600, and flashlights, that'd be a couple $100. And those are the sort of things where if they put it out to the public, I'm pretty sure people in the public would enjoy donating those things. But, and that would offset a good deal of money. But anyway, for right now, I don't have any proposal to bring. I just thought that was all interesting.
Anybody else? Is there any old business that we need to cover? Cherokee Tribe?
Yeah, I talked to, he was gonna get me some, Chuck Senior.
Yes.
You know, the election was Saturday, so they were pretty busy. He told me he would get someone to serve on this committee.
All right. Just get with me or
I will.
Mr. Rickman when you find that. Let me check my notes.
Well, he promised he would, so.
Okay, I think really, guys, like I said, we're at an impasse here, so, for new business, anybody got something new that we didn't cover right then?